And a very good afternoon to you, wherever you may be, Watford supporters across the world. Yours truly, Omar, here back again with another edition of You ORNS pre-match. Of course, we are getting ready for Burnley versus Watford, and that is at Turf Moor, kicking off in 50 minutes' time. Watford have released their starting 11, and it's great to have you aboard here on this Saturday, the last game Watford played before Christmas, and Watford looking to continue what they've been doing over the last few weeks. And it is great to be back. Now, Watford's starting lineup today. And again, thank you very much indeed for joining us here as we get ready for Watford taking on Burnley, the Clarets versus the Hornets today from Turf Moor. Now, it's very, very important that Watford do well today. They've got a very tough assignment against Burnley, a team that don't score a lot of goals, but they don't concede a lot of goals either. Hello there, Joe in Instagram world. Thank you very much indeed. Watford up against it today against a Burnley side that play well and have played well this season. But I actually think that Watford can do some damage today. You'd love the t-shirt. Thank you very much indeed, Joe. I designed these t-shirts and sweatshirts and then a number of other things. This is the long sleeve t-shirt that I'm wearing now. Designed these a couple of years ago. In fact, I had put them on sale at a store that I used to have online, but the sales weren't very good. So I had to close down the online edition, but still have lots of these shirts. Might be able to give some of these away, different colors. This one, of course, is from the Watford teams back in the 1950s because they used to wear this color at home, Joe. I'm sure you know that, but maybe you don't know that, but they used to wear this kind of blue at home. That was Watford's home shirt before it ever became yellow. So I designed blue ones, obviously the yellow ones, and the away shirts as well have some black ones as well. So yeah, absolutely. Thanks for that, Joe. Appreciate that very kindly. And this game today that Watford playing, it's going to be a tricky one. Obviously, you've got Burnley here. Burnley don't score a lot necessarily, but they don't concede very many. But I think there's going to be goals in this game today. I know that the starting lineup was released just a few minutes ago. And for those of you who aren't familiar with the starting lineup today, it really, I think, is quite interesting. Backman in goal, and Ngakia, Porteous, Pollock. And what you're looking at here is also Vata, Duoma, Sissoko, Bar, Bio, Larusi, Chakratazda. So I think again, it looks like this might be another back four situation for Watford. But we'll see. It looks like it's going to be very much that. Bond on the bench, Sierralta on the bench, and then the others on the bench. Ince, Jefferson, Ogbonna. Welcome back to Angelo Ogbonna after several weeks out with injury. It's good to see him back on the bench. Morris, Ebaseli, Kayembe, and Andrews. Andrews can't get a start at the moment for Watford. He is really being pushed out by the really good play of the likes of my goodness me, you saw how he played last week. I thought Ngakia was really good last week, the game against West Bromwich Albion. This past Sunday, actually, it was earlier this week to start the week. So Andrews can't even get a look in right now. But it's going to be a tough game. I agree with you, Joe. Very difficult game for Watford. But I think Watford are going to score some goals here. People are saying that Watford are going to find it tough against Burnley. And yeah, they might do. But I do think that Watford are going to be all right today. I think it's going to end up as a 2-2 draw, which is a surprise because, again, Burnley don't concede very many. But I think this is going to be a game that's going to be a bit more open than people might expect. And so I'm going with a 2-2 scoreline today. Burnley 2, Watford 2. Loser out with illness, says Joe. Yep, you're correct about that. But I'm happy that Duoma's starting. Yes, I think Duoma's been good when he started, hasn't he, Joe? Duoma's been a revelation when he's had to start. There was a game, I forget which one earlier this season, where he was absolutely brilliant. And then I think he played a few days later, and it might have been against Swansea, where nobody was brilliant, including him. And so, yeah, when Duoma gets involved, he is really good, and he plays fearlessly in that midfield role. He can do a lot of good things for you. It might have been Sheffield Wednesday. Yeah, it might have been. He was spectacular in that game, I think, and then the next game he was just off the pace, which would have been the Swansea game about 4 days later, Joe. So yeah, I think you're absolutely right about that. Duomo was really, really good in that game. And then the next game he was not. But again, as I said, nobody was good in that Swansea game where Swansea beat us 1-0. And of course, as you know, the Sheffield Wednesday game was a 6-2 finish, where Watford were absolutely running out winners in that one. Of course, the 4 goals in succession by Mr. Bayo, the Crow, flying away and flying high that day. And we'll be hoping that the Crow flies high again in this one at Turf Moor. It's going to be a difficult place to play, obviously. And then if the conditions play a role, and I don't know what the weather's like, but if, Turf Moor is not an easy place to play. The pitch is not easy. The fans are on top of you. It's on the northwest. It can be cold in there, dank. It can be a tough, tough old environment with Burnley. But Burnley definitely are the kind of team that can, cause a lot of damage. They'll play their long ball. They got Scott Parker as their manager now, who has gotten them off to a really good start. Burnley had stuttered the last couple of games prior to the game at Norwich. I think there were 2 home games in a row for Burnley, or maybe just 2 games in a row where Burnley did not get a win. They got 2 draws in succession before the game last week, this past Sunday against Norwich. Norwich scored early on in the game. Then Burnley came back with 2 goals in the second half in the space of a few short minutes to give themselves a 2-1 victory at Carrow Road. And so Burnley have kicked it up again, haven't they? And they are now, I think, they're in third before the start of this game, as far as that goes. So, Burnley are going to be very difficult. We played them at Turf Moor. We've been up and down, had some success there, have some setbacks there. We had a 1-0 lead against them at their place about 2 seasons ago now, and we're literally seconds away from winning the game. Couldn't get it done. Late goal from Burnley. I think you remember that one. And we had our black and white kits on that day, those 1915 kits that we played in. And we played in those 1915 black and white kits. And we were literally, must have been 15, 20 seconds away from winning the game. Set piece off the corner, and Burnley did us in right at the death. And literally right after that goal was scored, the referee, after about 10 more seconds after that, blew the whistle for the final whistle. And so heartbreaking stuff there. And Joe Larkin says, I was at that Burnley away game. It was such a close game. It was heartbreaking that they didn't get all 3 points there, Joe. They really should have. Tuesday night as well was a long journey home. Yeah, I do remember. Yeah, it was a midweek game. Exactly, Joe. That was a really painful game. It felt like Watford lost that game, and it felt like Burnley won the game because it was so close to the end. And I don't remember if you remember the assist. I think Ken Summer had the assist. I forget who the goal scorer was. Can you tell me, Joe? I don't remember. Since you were there, you've got to tell me who scored that goal. Sills, Michael Sills, hello to you. How are you, Michael? Nice to see you. It's great to see you aboard here. Welcome aboard the YOU ORNS pre-match, pardon me, and of course the YOU ORNS pre-match on Instagram and on YouTube. Thank you. Pedro scored. João Pedro was the goal scorer that day. Okay. I didn't even remember that it was João Pedro. My goodness. Pedro scored the goal, and Joe was at the game. And so that was at Turf Moor. Really, really tough loss, a tough draw. We really should have won that game. Same thing like Plymouth, isn't it? It's these kinds of games you've got to start scoring more than 1 goal in. And that's why I think Watford scored 2 today. I think the final score today will be Burnley 2, Watford 2. I have been pretty much on target with my predictions all season long. And look, I predicted the last 2 games exactly correct. I had Hull 1, Watford 1, and I had Watford 2, West Bromwich Albion 1. So I'm trying to make it 3 in a row now on the exact score prediction. Let's see if it happens today. I have Burnley 2, Watford 2 as the final score for today. What is your prediction of the final score? What is the final score going to be today at Turf Moor? So we'll go on for a few more minutes here. I like this lineup. Loser out because of illness. There's a bug going around, or the flu going around at this time of year. Hopefully you got your flu shots. But obviously Loser didn't get his because he is out through illness of some kind anyway. Hopefully it's not COVID. Hopefully he's all right and he will get back in due course. Of course, this is a big spell for Watford now, as you know, because we are in the midst of what's going to be 5 games. Couldn't be the other way around. 5 games in the next 15 days. That is going to be a brutal, brutal situation. And so this is where these lads earn their wages, in these situations like this, where they are throwing everything up there in 15 days. That's a tricky situation. They'll probably have some Christmas dinner with their family, but they'll have to get right back out there on Boxing Day and play, won't they? Merry Christmas, Omar, from the Watford Way. Thank you. Merry Christmas to you, Watford Way, on YouTube. Thank you very much indeed. Great to see you chiming in on YouTube. Have a Merry Christmas as well. Happy Christmas. Merry Christmas to you, Watford Way. Thanks for that on YouTube. I'm going to see, depending on how I do something that's going to be a bit more festive, but we'll see when the game is over today. I'm sure I will have a few festive tricks up my sleeve. So Merry Christmas to you as well, Watford Way on YouTube. Thank you for joining us as well as we get ready for Burnley versus Watford. This is the You ORNS pre-match. My name is Omar. Great to see you aboard here on YouTube and, of course, here on Instagram. Wilner. I'm sorry, Will Nash. I'm sorry, Will Nash. I'm sorry about that, Will. Will Nash, thank you for joining us. Hello to you as well on Instagram as we get ready here for the Burnley versus Watford match at Turf Moor this afternoon, 3 p.m. kickoff. That's coming up in just over half an hour's time. And look, Watford today are going to have their hands full. I am really happy that Ogbonna is back. Now, he's not starting the game, but he is back. And Ogbonna can make a lot of difference in a game like this. His know-how, his experience, he has been there, he's done that, he's been around the block a bit. His defensive positioning can really help Watford out. I tell you, the person who really has helped Watford this season with their defensive positioning is none other than Mr. Paul Robinson, who, of course, used to play for us back in the day. I think he used to play on that left side, if I'm not mistaken, Paul Robinson. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong. He has made all the difference coming in for the staff for Watford, and he's really got these lads defending very well indeed, positioned very well. Joe GS has joined us. Hello, Joe. Thank you very much for joining us here on You ORNS Extra pre-match. It is the You ORNS Watford FC pre-match on both Instagram and on YouTube. Thank you very much for joining us, Joe. Watford are in a position now where they're going to need to get their defense really solid. The defense has only made maybe 1 or 2 mistakes in the last 4 or 5 matches. And so what you're looking for today is for your defending to be switched on at all times in these games. If you want to try to improve your away record, your defending is going to have to be as crisp and as sharp and as flawless, practically flawless, as it has been over the last few weeks. The defending, I think, has been noticeably improved, and there's no accident that with the arrival of Paul Robinson, former Watford man, and Watford born as well, into the backroom staff, no accident that Watford's defending and their defensive positioning has improved. So I'm looking for that to continue today, although I think that Burnley will manage to score in this game. But I said, once again, my prediction, Burnley 2, Watford 2. What is your prediction of the game today? How are you seeing this match? It could be a very, very tricky game for Watford, and I think it will be. Watford need to get the first goal in the game, though. That's what I think. If Watford have a chance to get anything out of the game at all, they're going to need to score first, put Burnley under pressure first, have them react to us. What we want to do is get a quick goal here and have Burnley react to us. And I think that is ultimately what will be a tool for success for us today in a very, very difficult ground to play at. Watford, by the way, have fared well against teams above us this season. Of course, we have a 3-2, I think 4-2 record against teams above us when we play them. Obviously, we beat West Brom. They were above us in 7th place before we played them this past Sunday. We beat Middlesbrough at home as well. We beat Sheffield United at home as well. Excuse me, we've not beat Sheffield United yet. We beat Middlesbrough at home, Sunderland at home, and we've also beat one other team Blackburn at home. They were all above us. They're all above us now, at least. And so that is very important. So that's 4 wins. The 2 losses were both away at Sheffield United, at Leeds. We played well in the second half against Leeds. Remember, we shut them out. They were up 2-0. Those 2 mistakes from Daniel Batman, you remember, in October, really in quick succession in the first 10 minutes of the game or so. And those 2 mistakes determined the game. Backman took it on the chin and admitted that it was his fault that we lost that game at Leeds. But we played very well in the second half of that game at Elland Road. We scored the goal. I think it's Quadrille Bar who scored, but we didn't get anything else in that second half out of it after that. And that just says, look, even in that game we played well, we lost. But the game against Sheffield United, we just really weren't there, were we? And we lost that 1-0. And it was another mistake that really hurt us in that game. Early in the game, 4th minute, I think it was, Backman and the defense did not do a good job. And that was the only goal of the game right there. So we're right there. We're right there to pull off something in these games against these lot away from home. And I think that Watford can do this today. I think they'll get a draw. And I think Joe Larkin's getting even more positive than I am, because Joe Larkin on Instagram says, I'm feeling a 3-2 Watford. Well done, Joe. You might well be correct. We'll see about that. That will be a very good prediction if it turns out to be true. That's a bold one. 3-2 away win for Watford today, says Joe Larkin on Instagram. Burnley 2, Watford 3. That's Joe's prediction. What's yours? I've got Burnley 2, Watford 2. And the Watford Way on YouTube says, I want 2-2 as well. So I went 2-2 as well, pardon me. So the Watford Way says 2-2. I say 2-2. And Joe Larkin says 2-3. Watford FC in ascendancy today at Turf Moor. That's what Joe says about that. We'll see, Joe Larkin, if you are correct. You might well be. We'll see about that today. Well, this Watford lineup, again, as we're getting to almost 2:30 in the afternoon in the United Kingdom, you've got Backman in goal. You've got on the back four, it's the back four today, looks like to me. Jeremy and Ngakia on that right side. On that left side, you've got, oh goodness me! I've got to look at this lineup again. I just lost the lineup. Oh dear. So on this starting lineup, you've got Backman in goal, of course. You've got the likes of Larousse on the left side. You've got Porteous and Pollock in the middle. That's who I was trying to remember. Larousse, right? Larousse is the one that starts there on that left side. So it's Larousse in the left side. You've got on the right side Ngakia, and then in the middle Porteous and Pollock, Georgie. Then you've got Duoma, Georgie and Sissoko. It's really going to be Duoma and Sissoko really anchoring that midfield. Chafrataz is going to go in a more advanced position ahead of them, so it's more of a triangle with Vata and Barr coming up on the left and on the right, and then you've got, of course, Bio as the front man as well. So you've got that forward. You've got Vata, Barr, and you've got Chafratazda, and then you've got Bio up top. So that's really what you're doing there, I think. And then you can also have that change as well, and have players drop in and drop out and defend. You can make them a 2 up front. You can go 4-4-2. You can do all kinds of things with that lineup, which is really what Watford are going to do in this game. And that midfield can change and shift as well as it goes along. But I think it's a good lineup. Yes, you miss Loser because Loser's really been solid lately. But I do think that you've got someone in Duoma who can be really expansive as well with his role. He can stick, he can move. Sissoko probably will do more of the movement-oriented things there and bring the ball up more. Duoma's a really good holder, but he can also do things, and he can be very flexible in your midfield. And of course, you've got Chakvatazda, who's always going to be more advanced in his role, and he'll probably act more like a number 10, as he often does, to go forward and really cut through that defense and bring through that ball. And I think if you have them play the way they did this past Sunday, you never know. I would like to see Watford play the same way away from home. Sometimes it's a matter of patience. Sometimes it's a matter of dictating tempo. And Watford really, I thought, played the tempo game very well this past Sunday. Remember, that was early this week. It's the start of this week that they played that game. And I really like the way that Watford came out of the blocks against West Brom. And they're going to have to do something similar, I think, away from home, which can be tricky to do. But I think they're going to have to do this away from home, play this way again, give Burnley's defense something to think about, send some warning shots to Burnley early in the game, try to disrupt Burnley, try to put Burnley in a position of discomfort. I think that that's the key for Watford today. If you can put Burnley in positions of discomfort on the pitch early on, you've got a good recipe for success. So, look, we'll see what happens today as far as that's concerned. Lots of things to talk about with Watford, of course, but it is very, very different, of course, as far as this game is from this past Sunday, because Burnley are a better team than West Bromwich Albion are. Although Burnley's record defensively is comparable, probably in fact best in the Championship, but West Brom don't give up a whole lot of goals either. But Burnley are very, very stubborn indeed. I mean, again, they've given up, I think, 8 goals the whole season in the Championship, which is absolutely astonishing in a Championship to give up just 8 goals so far. But listen, teams can have an off day. Watford do have some scorers. I know you wouldn't think so, but they can get goals. And you've got a scorer in a rich vein of form right now in Bio, who can score, and he is scoring. You've got Georgie, who can drive at you. You've got Vata, who can score goals. He scored, of course, against Hull the week before. And so, listen, this is not a fait accompli. Those who think that Burnley are going to just romp through this game, I think should really take note of that. Because this Watford side can produce on the road. They've just not done it enough because they haven't scored enough, obviously, and they don't. And their defense have been suspect in these earlier games this season away. But you never know. I think today Watford can score twice. I think they will score twice. And I know that sounds really crazy to say, based on what we've seen with Burnley, who've been excellent this season. But I think Watford will get 2 today, 2 goals today. And Joe Larkin's going with 3. So we'll see about it. Watford did score 3 goals at Turf Moor back in 2000, and let me make sure I remember this, 2018, and their first away game of the season, they won 3-1. Javi Gracia was the manager at the time. Will Hughes was still at Watford at the time, and so was Troy Deeney. And Andre Gray, no less, against his former team as well, because, of course, he used to play for Burnley, as well as that other team that we don't want to mention on these airwaves. That was a 3-1 Watford win at Burnley. That was back, as I said, in 2018. Well, that was then, and now we'll see what we do today at Burnley. The Watford Way asked this question on YouTube. Thanks for this question, Watford Way. Do the USA do the traditional turkey Christmas dinner, or is it slightly different? That's a good question. Now, the USA doesn't do the traditional turkey Christmas dinner. There are some people in the US here who do the turkey Christmas dinner. I'm one of them. I'll be doing a turkey Christmas dinner. But generally speaking, is it an overall tradition in the USA here to do the turkey Christmas dinner across the board? No, it's not a tradition that goes through the country. Some people do it, some people don't. It's not a really societal tradition here in the USA to do the traditional Christmas turkey dinner. But I certainly will be doing that here. Got the apple cider, got the wine, got the all the fixings already. All that's needed actually is the turkey, which will be coming forthcoming, and we'll get that cooked up here and have a good time with that. Thank you for the question, Watford Way. It's really appreciated very much indeed. We are now just over 25 minutes away now from kickoff for Burnley versus Watford. The lineup, once again, I will repeat that lineup to you. Thank you very much for joining us here on YouTube, on the You ORNS WFC YouTube channel at You ORNS WFC. To subscribe, please do. To like the video, please do. Thank you very much indeed for watching. And of course, live on Instagram at You ORNS WFC as well, with the pre-match there as well. Looking at this lineup once again, let's go to it once again. Again, Backman in goal. And you got the back four, Ngaki on the right-hand side. Ngaki had a terrific game. I thought had a very good game. Pardon me. Had a very good game on Sunday against West Brom. On the right-hand side, on your left, you're going to have Larousse, who came on late in the game, and I thought was very important to stem the momentum of West Brom. He starts on the left. And in your middle, you got Porteous and Pollock, as always. And then middle of your defense, you got those two, and then of course in your midfield, Duoma and Sissoko, principals there, and then I've got Shakhtar in the advanced position, and then of course you have your three, Vata on the left, on the right, you've got Bar in the middle, you've got excuse me, you got your on your left, you've got Vata and Shakhtar rather in the middle of that three, and then Bar on the right, and then up top you've got Bio on his own there as the striker, who will be getting the ball through Shakhtar. Will get the ball in on the wings from Vata and Bio, Bar rather, Vata and Bar. Who have been really good. They started very well in the game last time out. They were good late against Hull. It was Bar to Vata in that one. Vata deserves to start again, as does Bar. Vata had 2 assists in the game, of course, on Sunday, so he has to get a start. Many Watford fans voted him man of the match. They were the ones who voted for that. I thought that Georgie was man of the match on Sunday, but again, most Watford fans said it was Vata for the 2 assists in the game. Vata, this is, I think, his first or second. That game against West Brom was probably only his second start of the season for us in the Championship. He was absolutely brilliant, though. He was very good in the game, but I think Georgie was just absolutely a cut above the rest. Fantastic from him as we go along here. So those are your starters on the bench. Once again, Jonathan Bond, Johnny Bond, Sierra Alta, Ince, Jebison, Ogbonna. Welcome back to Angelo Ogbonna after weeks and weeks out from injury. Morris Ebisele, Festi Ebisele. Would love to see him get into this game today. Kayembe, who for me has gone off the ball a bit. Kayembe, I don't know what you think about that. Kayembe, not quite up to his usual standards for a number of games so far. And then Ryan Andrews, on the bench as well. Boy, Ryan Andrews is going to find it really hard to get back into this side as a starter. I mean, these players are playing pretty well right now. They're in a groove at the minute. They've been playing well. They've really found the right kind of mix at the moment. But again, we'll see. We'll see what happens in the game. I don't know. Can you predict the substitutes? That's going to be a tougher thing, because I'm sure that Klebs will make some subs. I don't know who's going to sub on and not sub off, sub on, bring on. But we'll see. That would be a good guessing game for that one. But anyway, that's your lineup again. I want to thank you all for being here. No problem, Watford way on that. Definitely, I know, because most of us in the UK, we do that Christmas turkey, don't we? I mean, I did that for years. When living in the UK, that Christmas turkey was the absolute given. I mean, next to opening the presents, it was that turkey that you were looking at, right? You had the turkey, you had the trimmings, you had everything. And yeah, no, we don't do that. They don't do that over here. I know it's different. Everything, every way is different. It's just different. But Watford Way, thank you indeed for asking the question about that. Because yeah, Christmas turkey is going to be definitely here. I don't know about the rest of the country, but definitely it's going to be in full flow here. I'll tell you that, and I'm sure it will be as well with you, Watford Way. But that is going to be all right now. I think we're going to probably keep it as where we are. Don't forget to follow the You ORNS WFC YouTube channel. Don't forget to follow on X at You ORNS WFC. There, we'll do the post match there first, as well as on YouTube. But don't forget to follow on Instagram at You ORNS WFC as well. There is a new edition of the You ORNS WFC podcast out on both Spotify and on Apple. That was recorded for this past Thursday. So if you can take a look now at Spotify and at Apple, depending on which podcasting platform you like, you will find the latest episode of the You ORNS Watford FC podcast, done by yours truly. I talk about a number of topics, including the Watford women and how they've done under new head coach Renee Hector, who has been brilliant this season for the Golden Girls. Of course, as you know, she was a former Golden Girl herself. She still is a Golden Girl, really. She's doing brilliant things as the Watford head coach there for the Golden Girls. And she was, of course, a former Golden Girl player as well. She was named Manager of the Month of November in the National League Premier. I mean, she did a brilliant job this season so far, as Watford in 5th place in the National League Premier, Southern Premier Division. So I talk about that. I talk about Watford against Hull at the MKM Stadium, and I also talk about Watford West Brom at Vicarage Road. Do the analysis of that. I do a preview of this game, Burnley versus Watford as well. So look, if you want to listen to that, really would love you to do that. Love for you to take a listen to that and subscribe and follow the podcast as well. So 20 minutes away now from Burnley versus Watford. And I'm going to say goodbye for now. Of course, join me here again for the You ORNS post-match live, of course, on YouTube at You ORNS WFC. Please subscribe to the You ORNS WFC YouTube channel, and right here on Instagram at You ORNS WFC as well for You ORNS Extra on Instagram Live. Also, we'll be doing the usual call in on X as well at You ORNS WFC there right after the game, and then we'll be coming to Instagram not too long after that. And we will be here throughout on YouTube, so you can watch as well as comment at You ORNS WFC. So here we are now. We're less than 20 minutes away from Burnley versus Watford at Turf Moor. I want to say thank you very much indeed for joining, for watching, for commenting. And we will be back, of course, coming up after the kickoff. You would, says Connor. Thank you, Connor. Hello, Connor. Hope you're well. And good to see you here. And we are just getting ready to head to, of course, the kickoff at the top of the hour. We have been talking about Burnley versus Watford, and we have been doing our predictions once again as we just before we sign off here for getting ready for this. Antigua, thank you very much, Connor. You're coming in from Antigua. Brilliant. That's great. That's really a good shout there. Thank you, Connor. We've had people come in from Australia in the past. We've had people come in from New Zealand in the past, and Antigua. That is terrific. I hope the sun is shining brightly in Antigua, and I hope that it's nice and warm there. Connor, thank you very much indeed for watching us all the way from Antigua. We are here in California. It is very early in the morning here, and of course, it's still dark outside, isn't it? Yeah. So, it is the dead of winter now. In fact, this is actually, I think, the first official day of winter. So I said that literally December 21st, I think it is the winter solstice. Officially, I think begins today, maybe tomorrow or the 23rd, somewhere around there. I think it actually might be today. But if it's not today, it's definitely the next day or two. So it's fitting, I guess, that we have someone coming in watching from Antigua. Thank you, all the way from Antigua. Thank you very much, Connor, for that. Watford fan there in Antigua. Thank you indeed. And then the final score we predicted, at least I predicted, was 2-2. The Watford way on YouTube also predicted 2-2. And earlier today, Joe Larkin chimed in on Instagram with a 3-2 Watford victory. And Connor is going, I think, 1-2 to the Hornets, bar to score, and Rocco Vata. There we go. Thank you, Connor, all the way from Antigua with the prediction. Connor says Burnley 1, Watford 2. And so we have had our predictions. He predicts that Barr and Vata will score. Wow, that would be great if that can happen. Thank you, Connor, for your comments. So we will wind down now. Thank you, Connor, for that. And hopefully you'll join us after the match on Instagram at You ORNS WFC, You ORNS Extra on Instagram Live. Come about maybe 15 minutes or so after the kickoff, after the final whistle. If not, you can join us directly after the game on YouTube at You ORNS WFC on the YouTube channel. Please follow, like, and subscribe to all of the outlets, as well as on X at You ORNS WFC. We'll be doing the live call in there. Get on board and have your comments and have your say. And of course, the podcast, which I just talked about before you came in, Connor, the You ORNS Watford FC podcast. The latest episode was released just a couple of days ago now, where I talked about Watford versus West Brom. I talked about Hull versus Watford. I talked about the Watford women as well, and what the great job that Renee Hector, the head coach, is doing there. And also I talked about Burnley versus Watford with a preview of the game. Thank you very much indeed. We're coming up on 15 minutes to kick off. And as I said, join me back here on YouTube right after the final whistle at You ORNS WFC on the YouTube channel. Please subscribe and like the videos, and join me soon after the game has ended here on Instagram as well at You ORNS WFC, and of course on X at You ORNS WFC as well for the call in, taking your comments and your calls live after the game on X. Thank you very much, everybody. Omar here saying thank you for watching, thank you for commenting, and we'll see you after the match. Burnley versus Watford is coming up in 15 minutes time from Turf Moor. Until then, until after the game, it's Omar saying, "You orns." Take care, everyone. See you after the game. Come on, you orns.